the king of the temples too. Don't let him rise and make a fool of you. Let your soul feel whole and refuse to let him in. Let your light shine bright and learn to see again.
This is your place for all things Detroit Red Wings and all things Chicago Blackhawks. This is the Stick Blade Podcast with your hosts, Jordan Linscott, David Barnhouse, Nick LePage, and Tim Stompanato. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Stick Blade Podcast. It's your place for all things Detroit Red Wings, all things Chicago Blackhawks, and news around the NHL. The 2023-2024 season is officially underway. We've played meaningful games now at the NHL level. And we're going to be talking about this past week for the Chicago Blackhawks and the Detroit Red Wings. I'm your host for tonight, Jordan Linscott. I'm joined by my co-hosts, David Barnhouse, Nick LePage, and Tim Stompanato. Everybody, welcome to the show. Welcome to your place for all things Wings and Hawks. And boys, we're in. We are officially in at the NHL 2023-2024
First week
season.
in the books. This is it's back. It's really here.
Hockey's back.
I'm so happy.
It's so funny how, I don't want to say different, but I feel like it is how different real meaningful playing games work in the NHL as opposed to preseason. Everything looks so much crisper.
I watched Columbus Blue Jackets games for the sole reason of there's a real hockey game going on right now. I want to soak it in. Yeah.
Yeah. Opening night, I had the games on, and my wife's like, the Red Wings aren't even playing. And I'm like, doesn't
I don't
matter.
even
Hockey's
care.
Back. I want to watch Bedard versus Crosby. That's what I'm watching right now. Okay, sorry.
Watch.
So, for anybody who's not familiar with our show, basically we talk about all things Hawks and Wings, and then we move on to the rest of the NHL if there's stuff to do. So, I want to get the Wings out of the way because I feel like they're the only club that really has news to talk about this week. Obviously, they signed Zach Aston-Reese. He basically signed a league minimum contract. This is a filler player for Grand Rapids, and I don't really foresee him getting a meaningful, chance on the NHL lineup that is the Detroit Red Wings, especially given the fact that the Red Wings are wanting to make the playoffs this year. And then also Robby Fabbri is a day-to-day guy. It's such a shame because when Robby Fabbri is healthy, he's a meaningful middle six player who can contribute secondary offense. And it's a shame that it's not even his fault that he got injured. He just gets in these weird freak accidents that put him out.
It reminds me of Bertuzzi last year, where it was just weird one-off things that you couldn't predict. Different, I think Bertuzzi last year broke each of his hands in different ways.
Yeah.
Robby Fabbri just can't catch a break. I'd love to see him with some sustained play, and it just hasn't happened with the Wings.
It does suck because, when Fabbri is healthy, he's one of the best guys on the ice for us. And it's just, like you said, guy can't catch a break. It's just, he gets healthy, and then something else happens. It's like someone I know who tore their ACL, and they came back, they did all the recovery, they worked hard, and then they tore the other ACL. And it's just
That's a sign you hang him up at that point.
He did it again. I think he tore 3 ACLs.
You don't even have 3 ACLs.
Well, one of the repaired ones. Sorry, he didn't have 3 legs.
But losing Fabbri, this is we talked about this in preseason for Detroit this year. You got to see those bubble guys, the people that are on the depth line of who's that next guy up. So I'm glad you got that opportunity because we're already both teams are both the Hawks and the Red Wings are tapping into injury people right now. It's good that you had this opportunity to see who you've got.
I mean, we saw the depth of the Red Wings in the preseason, in the training camps. So Fabbri going down, it sucks, but someone can fill in. We've got Berger, and we've got all these other guys that can jump up and take the chance. It sucks, yeah. Hope he gets better soon and it's not anything super serious. But, yeah.
And the thing is, this obviously isn't going to be some sort of, deal season-breaking move for him. The Red Wings are still going to be the Red Wings this year. And it's a shame, though, because Robby Fabbri it seems like this happens almost every year. Like he has a really good start to a season or preseason, and then he gets hurt, and then he just can't ever fully rebound for a good return stretch.
That's every season he's been with the Wings, I think.
Or he's out for the beginning of the season, and when he comes back, he's great.
Yeah.
And then he gets hurt again, or it's just not enough. He hasn't played a full season, and I hate to say it, but I don't know if he is a full season kind of player with the injury history he has.
I mean, not right now, certainly.
No.
No, and the thing is, like this, it's not a serious injury. It's a day-to-day thing. I mean, he could be back within 2 weeks if all things go right. But it does suck that, Detroit is really established themselves these first 2 games of the season already against what are legitimate cup contending teams still.
Yep.
And he doesn't get a chance to be part of that group that's working towards like showing the rest of the NHL, hey, we're here, we're ready, let's do it.
To be fair, he did score a goal against the Devils.
Yeah, but I feel like when you follow like a game up like they had with New Jersey, and we'll talk about that game in just a minute, and play against another contending team in the Lightning, and you have another statement game against that. I feel like that, like those sort of stretches are where teams really get chemistry going, where you can get guys on locker room to go, hey, we hung with 2 contending teams, didn't look outclassed, we're legitimate this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame Fabbri couldn't be a part of that second half of it.
But it's also a good testament to the fact that 2 years ago, if Fabbri goes down, you don't have somebody to step up into that supplemental scoring. Now it's just a matter of, okay, who do we put there to make sure there's chemistry in other places? Like it is a testament to where you're at as a team.
It's crazy. I remember I shared with you guys the opening night roster of Eiserman's first team for the Wings compared to now, and it's just night and day different.
Larkin's the only one on that team that's still here, right?
Who?
and
Larkin
Rasmussen are the only 2 players.
Yeah.
Yep. Everybody else
wild.
is gone.
Absolutely wild.
In just a short amount of time, Eiserman has completely changed the entire look of this team.
Yeah.
Minus 2 people. And he made one of them captain.
But yeah, those are the only pieces of news that I have for the Wings this week. I mean, like I said, it's so early into the season, you're not going to have a ton of news probably. I mean, Tim and Nick, what's going on over in the Hawks world? Because a certain player of your guys has made his NHL debut this week.
Yeah, Bedard he welcome to the NHL. He, squaring off his first NHL faceoff against Sidney Crosby. Like, I don't know, Nick, it doesn't get better than that, right?
No, yeah, it was his role model essentially when he was growing up. It was his favorite player, and then you get to go against him in the opening faceoff on opening night. And it's truly like a, this is it moment for him.
Yeah.
It's like, holy cow, like I've made it.
I really enjoyed the ref at the faceoff circle to start the game. Said like, Sid, welcome to your whatever season it is now, and Bedard, welcome to the NHL, and then drop the puck. I'm like, that was cool. I like that.
It was awesome. Like
it was cheesy, but it was good.
Yeah, I don't mind a little bit of cheese at that point to acknowledge like Sidney Crosby, pillar of the league, like he's been here what feels like forever, and then the new generation. Yeah, it was a fun start.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was like the most watched.
It broke records.
And yeah, it drew in like 1.4 million people on opening night for one game, which was a record breaker in itself. No, it's just a really cool moment. Obviously, we'll get more into depth of the game. I also like, just scrolling through Twitter and just seeing like all these Chicago fans kind of uniting around, like people that weren't into hockey are now watching hockey because Connor Bedard, a superstar in the making, generational talent, is now a member of the Chicago Blackhawks. It's like these fans weren't here for Kane and Taves, which, hey, whatever. If they didn't like the sport at the time, then it is what it is. But now that Connor Bedard's in town, it's like he's must-see TV, and he's growing the sport in itself.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's just amazing to see this Chicago fan base grow even larger. But no, I mean, what a way to start the year, or his career, I guess. going against his childhood
Well,
idol.
and man, I don't want this to solely focus on Bedard, but like it's hard not to given
I
the
know
fact
a lot of
that
people are already sick of it already.
oh, 100%. But like he's also giving us a lot to talk about. Like he's, taken a third of the team's shots over 3 games. He's a point per game player right now. Again, 3 games into the season, pump the brakes, I know. But like still a goal and 2 assists as an 18-year-old in this league, like 3 games in, that is a big deal and worth talking about. And his shots are being taken place all over. They're not from the same spot. He's setting up wild plays. His vision is remarkable. Like he has a lot of adjusting to do, but he is the real deal, and he's showing that he belongs here on day one.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think he was denied on a couple unreal saves. He could easily have 2, 3, 4 more goals.
Yeah.
Thinking about the game against the Bruins, I think there was a rebound he was denied on at the doorstop. But yeah, I mean, I am never going to get tired of talking about Connor Bedard. I know fans are going to be tired of listening that aren't Hawks fans because he's already getting roasted. And
right now, the biggest
all that shit.
Right now, the biggest blow to Connor Bedard was that injury to Taylor Hall. Because that line of Hall, Donato, and Bedard looked so good. They had the chemistry. It didn't feel forced. Like that line really was working. And Taylor Hall going down with, I think it was a cheat. I think it was a dirty hit, personally. But like that, having to juggle the line combinations at that point when we were already out Kurashev as well, which throws off Reichel's line. We're not in the place where Jordan and David, the Detroit Red Wings, are at. We don't have somebody that can step in and provide a supplemental, scoring to fill in what Taylor Hall was doing. We're not there.
To kind of close this is our news week is Bedard debut and Hall injury. Tim, I think when you mentioned before show, you kind of mentioned he was essentially built different or a freak of nature, how he recovers quicker. Originally it was a week-to-week hit.
Bizarre.
On that dirty, we'll say dirty hit as Hawks fans. Yes, dirty hit.
Exactly. Listen.
Piece of shit scumbag. Yeah, whatever.
You're going to get us banned again.
The bad boys are getting
No. But it was kind of cool seeing, Bergeron kind of talking about Hall and Foligno in Hawks uniforms as well as Donato. So it was a good welcome back for them. And then Hall got hurt, but it is what it is. So hopefully he bounces back, and then we see that first line cook up again.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything else in particular you guys want to talk about with the Hawks or the Wings?
Just with Wings, I know our 2 first-round picks aren't playing with the team, but they've been doing well. Wait.
You all right there, David?
Yeah, sorry, someone was pointing at something. So Nick was pointing, so I thought he was trying to tell me something. He probably will be in a second. But they both have scored and have looked pretty good for their teams with Nate Danielson with the Wheat Kings. Is that what they're called?
Yep.
Yeah,
and
then
Sandin Pelikas over in the SHL, I think, right?
Over in Sweden,
so he's looked great manning the blue line. So it'll be exciting to see when they eventually kind of work their way up. Because, Danielson, we talked about him during the preseason, kept getting a lot of looks.
It looked great.
We kept seeing him in the roster. We kept seeing him on ice. He scored the first goal of the preseason. He's not going to be Bedard. Of course not. Bedard did say he was the toughest player he played against. So just, holding out hope that actually comes to fruition into something for Danielson.
I have a bold thought that if you didn't sign Comfer in the offseason, I think Nate Danielson would have gotten 9 games with the club this year.
Yeah.
There's just no spot for him right now to have 9 games, but I think he earned it, definitely.
So Andrew Kopp and JT Comfer basically make it so he can't get a chance at the NHL. It's unfortunate, but it's the fact of the matter.
I think there's going to be enough shuffling and juggling in the next couple of years where those two can switch to wings when other people are out. That'll give him room. But this year there's just no space for the people that should be on the team now anyway.
Which is fine because Danielson probably isn't NHL ready.
Right.
He's close.
if he was allowed to, he'd be on the Griffins right now, I think.
100% agree.
It's a weird rule.
We'll talk about the CHL agreement eventually on an episode and why it's a problem for young players. But yeah, I guess it is something I forgot to talk about. Danielson and Pelika have been having really good starts to their seasons, respectively. Sebastian Cossa also has too. He had what was it? Yeah, I think it was a 41 save game playing for the Grand Rapids Griffins. I think it was last night.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, actually, if we're talking prospects real quick, I mean, Nick, Oliver Moore and Frank Nazar look like they are kicking the doors open with college hockey right now. Like,
yeah, what is Moore?
Nazar.
Moore had like 4 points the other night, and then Nazar as well. He's and then there was a few scrimmage games I think earlier in or last week.
Yeah,
that they were kind of just lighting up the board. I think Moore had 2 goals and 2 primary assists. So, yeah, I mean.
And Adam Goshen, they had like a 51 save game with the Green Bay Gamblers or whatever it was, which is where
what a name.
I right, that is a great name. Where that's where Rinzel's at now too, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Like that's great. The kids are all right. I'll take it.
So we've kind of been talking about like a lot of like the younger players, but like I said, we have actually seen now 2 or 3 games for the Wings and the Hawks.
Yes.
You kind of know, I mean, we still don't really know for sure what these teams are, but you're kind of starting to get a feel for it, right? Like you've played against teams, and seen your full line for 2 games straight, 3 games for the Hawks, respectively speaking. I mean, what are you guys' general feelings overall in regards to what we've seen? Because I'll go ahead and start it off. I think my general take for the Wings is I see a team that the offense has obviously taken a step forward. Alex DeBrincat and Dylan Larkin look like probably the most explosive offensive pairing that the Wings have had since the Datsuk Zetterberg era. Everything looks good with that pair. They can put pucks on the net. They can both skate. They can both get really tight in and force opponents to pay attention to them. That pair looks awesome. Lucas Raymond has put on, what did he put on? I think it was like 12 pounds of muscle or something like that over the offseason.
And it shows.
Particularly when he knocked a player from the Tampa Bay Lightning over the bench into the Red Wings bench.
So good.
JT Confer, I think, has been just as good as advertised. He's looked very good, not super flashy, but you know what? Overall, I think he's been really dependable so far throughout his game time. And then I think Andrew Kopp looks a lot more comfortable in that middle 6 role that he was really brought in to be. And even the fourth line's kind of been contributing, like Joe Valeno, Klimkost, and I'm blanking on his name.
Christian
Fisher. Christian Fisher. That looks like a perfectly fine fourth line that if you looked at a contender, I'd be like, yeah, that looks probably like a contender's fourth line.
Because you got 2 guys who can grind, and you have Valeno who, can score, can pass.
Right. So. And Valeno also, again, just the last few seasons, he improved face-offs. He put on that weight. He did the same thing that we're seeing Raymond do now, and we're seeing it's paid off for him.
Yep, he's earned a spot on the team. Granted, it's a fourth-line spot, but I'd love to be a fourth-line.
Better to be there than back with Grand Rapids.
Yeah, also true.
The defense for me, though, obviously Wallman and Seider are still the de facto first pair. If you watch the Tampa game, that was full on display in that game.
Wallman almost snuck one in there too.
I think Justin Hull has looked a lot better than what Maple Leafs fans said he was going to look like. Has he been awesome? No, but I think he's looked perfectly serviceable. Does not look as bad as everyone was making him out to be.
He had an amazing block. I can't remember which game it was.
It was the New Jersey game, I think it was.
Yeah, where he slid and blocked a shot that would have gone in the net.
And then Ben Sherratt, now that he's not playing as heavy as an offensive game, he has looked better when he hangs back. Still, I don't think it's worth the contract that he's getting paid, but I think he's looked a lot better now that it seems like he's being allowed to play more of a defensive first role as opposed to being expected to chip in offensively.
Yep. The only problem I saw with him was him and Mata got kind of caught sleeping with Hagel's goal.
But
Hagel's both of them faster than Ben Sherratt.
Well, that's the problem with that pairing too is neither of them are barn burners. They're not going to beat a Hagel if he gets around them. That's my big concern with that pairing.
And then the other new guy to the team, Daniel Sprung, has 2 goals in 2 games. I was worried because I was like, man, he had 24, 25 goals with Seattle, but like Seattle was just like a team that was their play style's different than ours, and that's how he was getting his goals. And I'm like, is that going to transition to how we play on the wings? And it has so far. I mean, he's had 2 really good goals.
So the one was the pull in from the DeBrincat shot last night in Tampa, and the other one was just a nice clean one.
Yep, and he likes to shoot. Like he had a couple good shots against Tampa where it's like just a little bit better angle, and he'd have had it.
Well, and he's showing he can sort of play up and down your lineup a little bit. I know he's like your third line, like that third line scoring line that's supplemental, but like if you need to swing him up for something, he can clearly play with DeBrincat and Larkin and hang.
That's what I like about this team is we have so many guys that can bounce up and down lines.
Yes.
Like I know we joke about the Blashill blender and like how he would do that, but like with the way this team is built, you could move people around. It reminds me of like Jordan, you said earlier with, Pavel Datsyuk and Henrik Zetterberg, the Euro twins. Like you put them on the same line, it's dirty. You could still move them around and put them on different lines, and it was still great.
Well, that was back in the Hawks dynasty years. We would just juggle up with it. Okay, is it Kane and Taze, or is it them driving their own lines and Hoses somewhat? Like it's an embarrassment of riches when you've got a top 9, especially that you can just. What's the game? And it's good. It's good to see the Wings in that spot right now.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, real quick before we, I know we, I wanted to interrupt, but you guys were riffing right off the bat. We're on the top of your first impressions. You guys were talking about defense a lot during that. We've seen Dahlin get paid in the last week. We've seen Owen Power get paid in the last week. What are we thinking Sider's going to come in around? Because they got paid and Sider has had way more of an impact.
I think Sider is getting anywhere between 9.5 to 10.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to get right around 10 mil a year. He doesn't have the point totals that a player like Dahlin has, for example. He plays, I think, in my opinion, a better definitive shutdown game, but I don't think 10 is unreasonable for Moritz Seider.
Yeah. Is it weird that he's going to get paid more than our captain? No, not really. I mean, he's possibly the future captain when Larkin retires.
I mean, not only that, number 1 defensemen, just generally speaking, are a lot harder to find than a top 6 center is.
And top 6 center is like a number 1 center is hard to find, but you're absolutely correct about that. And the good news is you've got the Jake Sanderson signing in Ottawa, that defenseman, and then you've got Owen Power and Rasmus Dahlin on the other side. So you can play in between those 2 contracts a little bit. But
Dahlin's clocking in at 11.
Yeah, that's spicy.
I think if
you get him for 10, I think that's great.
Yeah. I don't know if we talked about the cap going up to like 87 and it's looking like next year. I think I'm not Dahlin. I think Seider might be clocking 10.5 to like 11.2.
I mean, I'd be willing to pay that if he has Conn Smythe next to his name next year,
I hear that. I hear you loud and clear on that.
But no, I do think that he's going to get paid at least 10. I think 10 should probably be like the floor for him. 11 is probably the ceiling. Like I said, he doesn't have the offensive output that Dahlin has, but he's got more than Dahlin has on the defensive side of playing a defenseman. So it's unfortunate that everyone looks at goals and assists when evaluating contracts because there's so much more than that makes a player. But that's kind of just conventional wisdom right now. You get paid for goals and assists, as unfair as it is.
Well, and I think it also depends on the amount of years. If you lock him up at 11 mil for 8 years, fantastic. You sign that tomorrow. If it's 3 to 5 years of 11, I'm feeling less good about it.
No. Yeah, the only way you're going to 11 is if it's
max
the 8 year. Because that 11 mil in like 6 years from now is going to be like a $6 million deal.
Yeah, it's going to be great
in today's world.
No, just wrapping up some first impressions for Detroit. You blew me away with that Devils game. I did not think it was going to be as close as it was going to be.
I saw our opening night game, and I'm like, yeah, there's no way we're going to come close to them. And we came close to beating them at one point.
Yeah. You had me worried for a little bit because I had just given a buddy some suggestions on like New Jersey, and I was just like, well, once again, I'm an idiot when it comes to any of these predictions.
I
can't do
do
it.
have Jack Hughes in your family league, Tim. So
Yeah, I know. I'm
he
very
scored.
well aware of that because you're dummying me right now. But yeah, good start to the season for Detroit so far.
Yeah, I mean, the Hawks, like I said, you guys are a very different spot in your rebuild process. What is your guys' takeaway? Because you guys have played 3 games so far. You played Pittsburgh, you played who was it?
Boston,
and
then
Montreal. You played Montreal already, right?
Yeah, I think this is what the Hawks are. I think this is what we're going to see out of the Hawks this year is in a game like Pittsburgh, our youth is going to overcome an age gap. But in a game like Boston, if we're quick, we are a very fast team now, but we don't have that physicality. And I think a team like Boston, the big bad Bruins, I think, they build their teams year after year just like that for a reason, and it's because it wears teams out. But I think we're going to stay in a lot of games. I don't think there's going to be a lot of games where we're getting blown out, even with the youth of the defense. And, Mrazek's looked pretty fine so far. I think, we're going to stay in a lot of games, even if we're outmatched on paper. I think our youth, our speed, and our quickness, and then, a bunch of guys kind of playing with their not a care in the world, which is a good thing. When I say that, it's a good thing because they have a lot to learn.
Sure. They're not gripping sticks or anything like that.
Yeah, they're inexperienced, and I like what I've seen so far. We battled each and every game, even down against the Canadiens. We were down 3-0 early.
Yeah,
and we fought to come back. So I'll get into the specific players shortly, but I want to hear Tim's take next.
No, my big takeaway from these first 3 games was the resilience of this team, especially against Boston. I think we were down 0-2 pretty early, and we've seen Hawks teams in the past where that's the rest of the game. We're shot at this point.
Oh, it would have been 6-0 last year.
Right, exactly. This team never quit. They amped it up. Again, we'll get into specific players and what I think about sort of who's driving that energy, but it has been thrilling. The Montreal game, I have some complaints on what I've seen on sloppiness, because I think in the first 2 games we looked crisp with passes, crisp with systems. Like, yes, there's going to be rookie mistakes. There's going to be learning curves because there's a lot of new people, but like, the first 2 games, it looks like we stuck to the system and it looked really good. The Montreal game, I feel like our play fell apart. Like, that game should have been closer. And I know it was close, but it should have felt closer. Yeah. It would be my only thought. But against Boston and Pittsburgh, I am blown away by the comfortability of some of our rookies, Bedard and Korchinski specifically, of how they're adapting and the lessons they're taking away from it, and they do not look out of place.
No, absolutely. I think that's a good point to make, is Korchinski looks like he's going to give GMKD a tough choice at the 9-game mark and then for the rest of the year, because he looks like he's fit to play. Bedard, I know, guys. Listen, we're going to talk about him a lot. Again? So sorry.
I'm just going to get like a little kicker every time you say Bedard's name.
I like that. Put it in the corner of the.
I love that. I love that he just came right out and started firing at different angles.
100%.
He knows his shot. He knows he loves his shot. And he knows he has a deadly shot. And I love that he's coming out firing. As for his first career goal, chasing that puck.
So good. That wraparound.
On his own shot to wrap it around. And, I love the seriousness or maturity in him as well. I know we talked about it a lot, but, you see after his first point, he's smiling because the Hawks got a win, and he's smiling. Then the first goal picture came out. He's just like a dead staring. Yeah. And so, but no, as for that, a lot of rookies, like Cole Gutman's looked good. I think he's still technically a rookie.
Yeah, I would consider him a rookie. Him and Alex Vlasic. Vlasic, I think, has been our best defenseman.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Alex Vlasic has been stellar. So when it comes to, individuals, as for what we've seen good, I've been very impressed with the youth movement of the Hawks because this is what we've been talking about all off season, and they've shown up and answered the bell.
I think just to flip that script as well, we've got the youth movement, but we've also got the retirement home that has been driving a lot of our energy and a lot of our culture. Corey Perry and Nick Foligno have been phenomenal for this team the first couple of games. Foligno is everywhere on the ice. He's involved in goals. He's involved in breaking up plays. He's been electrifying to watch on the ice. And the fact that Corey Perry, Richardson was talking about how Perry has become the de facto liaison for the Hawks to talk to the refs. Like, he doesn't shout at the refs or anything. Like, he talks to them. They give him the time of day. He is the one that goes over whenever there's a penalty called to go talk to the refs. Remarkable to see these two grizzled seasoned veterans. And then the daycare and the retirement home is sort of what I'm looking at right now. And then it's sprinkled in with the people in the middle.
Corey Perry got knocked down hard last night by I can't even pronounce the guy's name. It's X-Man.
Yeah,
X-Man.
I like that.
Like one punch on the ground.
Yeah, listen, he's. I mean, that's the guy that took on Ryan Reeves. So like, I wouldn't want to fight him.
If you're gonna take on Ryan Reeves on purpose, I applaud you.
Yeah, exactly. Then you got no fear.
One more thing before we get to the negatives. I want to shout out the penalty kill too. I think the first two games they were 6 for 6 or something like that off the rip. Again, a lot of young guys involved on the PK as well, so that it's promising to see. It was kind of like which drought would be broken first. We'll get to the power play now.
Oh yeah, that's our one big.
I do want to give some credit to the penalty kill too, because we've been taking quite a few penalties in the first two. So I think they deserve their credit as well.
And I just wanted to give a shout out to the goaltending. Honestly, I know we're out of 3 games, we're 1-2, 1 win, 2 losses, but Mrazek and Soderblom have looked really, really good. Soderblom made 30 something saves. We lost, but what are you going to do? That's going to happen when you've got a rookie defense and a bunch of kids in a new system. Yeah. Mrazek remembered that he used to be a really good goalie, and he went nuts that first game. Nick, am I crazy? He looked phenomenal. He remembered that. Oh yeah, I was a highly rated prospect once.
No, that was a goalie win. That was
100%.
Because he denied, I think, 7 plus. I think it was 7 great scoring chances that are high rated scoring chances they were rated on after the game. So. Yeah, Mrazek looked phenomenal.
He can stay healthy.
Good against Boston. Yeah, and that's his issue, though.
Oh, I mean, it's his entire career. It's been his issue. So, if he can
you
stay
guys
healthy,
know well over there.
Oh yeah, Peter Mrazek will have 20 game stretches where he looks Vezina caliber, and then all of a sudden he falls apart.
Yep.
And that's what we're ready for.
We're only at game 3 though, so we still got
he's not due for the fall off until January. We're fine.
Yeah, we're on pace. Few negatives. I know we've run a little long for the Hawks. Few negatives. Power play.
It's awful. That's the only word for it, right?
Yeah, I think Bedard's on the wrong side of the. He's not a one-timer guy. He could bury some one-timers. He needs to be on the other side where he could change the direction of his shot and with his toe drag release. And then it's just, I think the first one of the season against the Pittsburgh, I'm like, wow, this is great. We kept the puck in the zone for 2 minutes straight.
I agree. Yep.
And then after that, it was downhill.
Yep.
So I'm very bullish on the power play right now. It's been rough. I think Taylor Hall coming back might fix that when he does. And then Wyatt Kaiser. I mean,
man, we were both so again, it's 3 games in, but
the penalties are. I think it's just a mental thing right now. It is. Decision making and penalties is poor. I don't want another Ian Mitchell situation. I don't think he will be. I think he's a good player. I think just right now he's very overwhelmed or he's just not comfortable.
I think a lot of these penalties, because it's not something we saw throughout his career to this point that it's like, oh yeah, he's like Samuel Savoie, it's going to be a penalty. We got to rein him in a little bit. He's got the penalties on it. Kaiser, we haven't seen that with consistently throughout his career. I think a lot of it is he's taking penalties, because he's out of position or something like he's getting caught in situations where he is reacting and now he's taking penalties. And some of them, I think it's also frustration, like that dumb cross check. But I think when he gets more confident in the game and he starts adapting more, we're going to see those penalties decline because he's not going to be caught in positions where he's reacting and taking a penalty as much.
Yes.
I just hope Reichel adjusts quickly because I'm already seeing the Twitter threads of what's the story with Reichel? Why don't we just move him to wing? Maybe he doesn't belong. Settle down. 3 games.
He'll come along.
It's an adjustment period for a different position you've never played at the top of your league.
He's playing center in the show,
and he was denied. He was denied on a couple good opportunities on a breakaway too. So
some bad bounces for him.
It's the first week. Overreactions are bound to happen. Underreactions are bound to happen. That's why we talk about the sport.
I mean, that's exactly
Yeah,
we like to react. We like to debate.
On our side with negative, the one I notice is just defense. Like we talked about, we've improved the defense. We see good things there, but they're just not locking it up. And we've allowed, 4 plus 4. So we've allowed 8 goals in our first 2 games. Something we got to fix.
I feel like the wings, that is the big thing. It's not even necessarily a defense. It's not just a defenseman issue. I think it's more the wings need to make sure that they are keeping the puck once they have it. I think that and you kind of saw it in the Tampa game in particular. I think they had 8 giveaways or something like that. The wings just need to be better at making sure once they get possession, they keep it, because hockey's a possession game. That's how you win games. I was kind of explaining this to my wife when we were at the game. I'm like, you don't necessarily win hockey games by shooting 50 pucks at the goalie. You win hockey games because you had 6 good shots at the goalie.
Yep.
Really makes you think. That's a deep one.
It's really deep.
Not the shots you take. It's the quality. No, that's, I don't know. It's the same issue out of last year where you had Seider and Wallman and the rest. That's the unfortunate thing right now.
Yeah, and I don't think it's worth freaking out, like you said, Nick. People online were already freaking out. We made the wrong moves this offseason, getting these older defensemen. Everybody chill out. We're 2 games in. How we're not even we got 40 times this amount of games. So there's times for things to get changed for the Red Wings.
Yeah, people are still getting the dust off their skates.
Yeah, exactly.
It takes a while to adjust from preseason hockey to regular season full speed. So I think everybody, let's chill out. Let's this week 2.
I can't.
Now's the time to be excited and to start seeing that could be an issue. That could be something. But now is not the time for overreactions, says somebody who overreacts to everything. So
we can go ahead and move on, but before we move on, we need to talk about our sponsor for tonight's show, and that will be DraftKings Sportsbook. The NHL season is obviously going strong. We're here talking about the first week already, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking up new customers with an offer that's even better. You can bet $5 on any game this week and score $200 instantly in bonus bets. All customers can take advantage of this offer every game day in October. So basically, let's say you want to bet on, the upcoming game for the Wings, for example, right? You can bet on that. If you want to play or bet on the upcoming game for the Hawks, you can do that. Any team in the NHL, they're on there. You can bet on them. You can even bet on stuff like goals, players, shots, all sorts of stuff is on DraftKings. So check it out. They've got all sorts of stuff that you can bet on there. And it makes the game more engaging when you've got money on the line. It's engaging when you're watching and you've got pride, but when you've got a little bit of coin involved, it's just that much more engaging. But like I said, yeah, you can check out DraftKings Sportsbook and get it on the game day greatness. So you can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. New customers, like I said, can score $200 instantly in bonus bets when you bet 5 NHL. Again, that's code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook, which is an official sports betting partner. The crown's yours. If you have a gambling problem, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help's available for problem gambling by calling 888-789-7777 or visiting ccpg.org. Please pay responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resorts. Licensee partner Gold Nugget, Lake Charles. You have to be 21 or older. Age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility and deposit restriction terms and responsible gaming resources. But yeah, check out DraftKings if you haven't already. It's a fun way to play and like engage with the game, like with your own money. It makes it that much more exciting to watch the games. But boys, let's move on to the next part of our show. Normally we do a flashback and flash forward segment. We kind of already did the flashback segment by talking about the week that was this week for the Wings and the Hawks. I want to wrap by obviously doing like the player of the week / play of the week. I feel like we should change the segment up if something notable really like caught your eye this week. Nick, Tim, I feel like we keep starting with the Wings. Let's start with the Hawks on this one. Who's your guys' player of the week, or what was the play of the week for the Hawks?
I think it's going to be my player of the week has to be Connor Bedard. Nick's laughing because I know. I mean, it has to be him. He has a third of the shots out of like the team this week out of 3 games. Point per game. He's looked electrifying. Every play I can think of that's like, oh yes, that could have been the play of the game. It's Connor Bedard doing it. It's got to be him. Everything drives through him right now. Nick?
No, yeah, I mean,
I got my Connor clicker ready.
Just to be a little differentiator.
Good.
I wanna, I think there's been a lot of episodes where me and Tim were both like, it's Patrick Kane. It's Patrick Kane.
Yeah, it has
so
to be.
We're not gonna do Connor Bedard this week. Tim already covered that side. I'm gonna go with Tyler Johnson. He's had 2 goals this week. I think him stepping up and playing a bigger role is immense for these young guys too. It kind of takes a breather off young centers like Bedard, like Lucas Reichel, who we're kind of trying to squeeze in there now. I think Johnson going in there, even on nights like night 1, Bedard was struggling at the dot. Tyler Johnson came in and won a few big faceoffs for us too. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Tyler Johnson for player of the week for week 1. Honorable mention to Corey Perry, he's also a point a game player. He's on track for 82 points. So shout out Corey Perry.
Never thought I'd say that.
Blackhawk legend.
Yeah.
On the Red Wings side, Jordan and I may have the same one. I'll go first. Alex DeBrincat. I mean, we went into the season after we traded for him with expectations of him, maybe not being a 40-goal scorer again, but being someone who's going to be an offensive threat. And so far, over the course of 2 games, he has 3 goals. He's built up some good chemistry so far with Dylan Larkin. I mean, they're 2 games in, and they've worked well together. I think Larkin's assisted 2/3 of his goals. I don't think he assisted that one that was like the random shot from the blue line that bounced in. But they've got good chemistry together. They've almost set up a couple other goals with each other. Just goalie was in the right place. But he's already got 3 goals, and we're 2 games in. I'm looking forward to seeing how many more he gets.
I mean, I feel like for me, the player of the week, it's got to be Lucas Raymond. I mean, he's a guy who this offseason took the assignment of getting extra weight put on him. Like, even if you don't want to look at, the awesome body check that he had to knock somebody over the boards, the guy still had a really greasy, really nasty goal to start the season off at home.
Yep.
Right from the slot. And the thing that I liked was he started that game on the second line. And by the time the game was over, he was playing with Larkin and DeBrincat on the first line. Basically showed coaching staff, like, no, I belong on the top line here. I think that's something cool to see with a player as young as he is.
Yeah,
I mean, it takes
awesome.
effort.
and I mean with him putting weight on, like he's not a small player. Like he can use his body as we saw what he did with Tampa. So I was worried like a line of those three together. I'm like, they're just too small. But Larkin's a strong, tough player. DeBrincat is small. But Raymond, I was like, oh man, Raymond's pretty small too. Forgetting that he did add like 10, 12 pounds of muscle, and he's not afraid to get a little dirty right now, as we saw. Like he slammed that dude well into the bench. So if he wants to fight for a first line spot, hell yeah, let him.
Absolutely.
I love it. Great picks.
So we can go ahead and move on to the flash forward segment. For anyone who's unfamiliar with this part of the show, basically we're going to look at the weeks that's coming up for the Wings and the Hawks, and I'm kind of talking about what we expect will happen with the scheduled games that we have coming up.
The Wings have a busy week.
The Wings do have a busy week. I guess we'll start with them for this. They're going to have, I believe it's four.
I have it
four
pulled
games
up.
this
Holy
week.
cow. Yeah,
We
you got
play-
4 games.
They're
play
going to
Ottawa.
play.
No, wait.
Let's see.
Where'd it go?
Yeah. I got it right in front of me. So they're going to play the Blue Jackets tomorrow, which is Monday. They're going to play the Penguins on Wednesday. They play Ottawa on Saturday, and they play the Calgary Flames on Sunday. So they've got 4 games coming up this week. It's going to be a busy, busy week for the Wings, and there's a lot of travel here. This is not home games really, except for the Pittsburgh and the Ottawa game, or not Ottawa, the Calgary Flames. So there's going to be a bit of travel in here to kind of get them a little bit worn down. My personal takes, I think that the Wings are going to beat the Blue Jackets. I think they're doing the right things, but I think the Wings are just better than the Blue Jackets right now. I think they're further along. They have more pieces than the Blue Jackets do. I think they beat the Penguins. I said it when they acquired Erik Karlsson. I think that Pittsburgh is trying to do the patchwork job that the Detroit Red Wings were doing at the end of their playoff run, and I think I don't like it. I don't like their goaltending for that matter either. Mm-hmm. Ottawa, I feel like Detroit's finally going to be due for a loss here. They're playing Ottawa in Ottawa, and I would lie if I said I didn't think that Ottawa is right there neck and neck with Detroit, but I think hometown advantage happens. And then I think that Calgary is a winnable game. I would not be surprised to see them go to overtime and win it in overtime with Calgary. Mm-hmm. They regressed a little bit last year. I don't think they're as bad as they were last year, but I think Detroit can win against Ottawa. I mean, David, what's your takeaway?
I mean, I think we're identical. I think we can beat Columbus. I think we're a better team than them. They're dealing with injuries with Werenski being out. Again, sucks for him. Want him to be healthy because he's a homegrown guy from Michigan. We need to beat Pittsburgh just because I have friends who are big Pittsburgh fans, and because of me talking about hockey all the time, they've gotten more back into it. Like they were into it, but like they're even more into it now. And I'm like, crap. So like my best friend was texting me. He's in Montreal right now, no, Quebec right now, and he's like, "So tell me about Ned." And I'm like, "Oh."
What about Ned?
Like we love Ned, but he can go through a period of struggle, and that really sucks. But like, no, I mean, so we need to beat them. Ottawa's had our number recently, and I think they have good offensive firepower, and I think they'll beat us. But then I think we bounce back against Calgary.
Nick, looking at the schedule, what are your guys' opinions on it?
Oh, Nick, it's gonna be a bumpy ride, isn't it?
Wait, hold on. I think we're wrapping up the Wings side.
Yeah, sorry about that. I did jump. I looked in fear at the week ahead for us. No, honestly, Red Wings, I think I see no reason why you can't beat the Columbus Blue Jackets with Werenski out. Realistically, I'm going to make a wild prediction. I think you sweep the next 4 games.
Dang, wow.
Okay. I'm looking at the teams ahead. Blue Jackets, winnable game. Penguins, the Hawks beat them. Like, that's a team that's they still got a ton of firepower with Crosby, Malkin, Letang, and Karlsson, but like, they can be beat if you get their bottom 6 and you take advantage of their goaltending. The Ottawa Senators are a high-powered top 6 offense, but they are still figuring it out. You guys can beat them. The Calgary Flames, new coach, new systems. They're still putting it together. There's nobody here that you're facing that is a consistent core with the consistent coach, the consistent systems, and the pieces in place that are like, yes, that's going to be an improbable win.
Okay.
I think you sweep.
Yeah. I'm gonna build off high on Tim too. I don't think a sweep. I think 3-1 though. Just because back-to-back nights with
It's
Ottawa.
hard to win.
That is tough.
Home against Calgary. Back-to-back nights is tough. I think Calgary might be the one that kind of gets them, just because Calgary's a hard skating, physical team. Bold prediction of the week for the Wings. Give me a revenge game. Alex DeBrincat hat trick against the Ottawa Senators.
I like that a lot.
Ooh.
In
Now,
Ottawa.
Before we jump into the Hawks,
Please.
I know a certain someone on this podcast is going to finally make it so this podcast isn't full of unmarried men this weekend, right, Nick? Right? Is there going to be a TV that has the game on when you guys are watching?
There's got to be, right?
I mean, come on, guys. You know I'm not going to go at night without the Hawks.
I mean, when we were getting married on the 22nd, like I was October 22nd, so like we share anniversary like weekend, you and I.
Love that.
We had the Cubs NLCS on one of the TVs when it was the World Series run, and I was just like, "Everybody, be quiet! Hold on."
I love that. Yeah, see, that's why I got married in summer. I had one focus.
Yeah,
I couldn't get in trouble.
So yeah,
I think I have to wrap up our show. We do a daily question. I do have a question for you guys at the end.
I'm excited.
so. Okay.
Now, Nick, just one piece of advice going in. If you think you're going to be slick and have a little radio Bluetooth in your ear, listen, I'll tell you, they'll catch that.
Well, let's move on to the Hawks. I mean, Nick, walk me through the week coming up for the Hawks. Because
Tim, I'm virtually holding your hand right now.
Yeah, it's so the games we've got this week. Tomorrow, Monday, we are playing the Maple Leafs away in Toronto. Then Thursday, we're playing the Colorado Avalanche in Colorado. And then Saturday, we play the Golden Knights at home. Now you can understand why I don't feel great about this, and like that skewed the way I looked at the Detroit Red Wings week of, yes, those are all teams that the Detroit Red Wings should be able to handle. Nick, you want to go first?
Yeah.
Please control your excitement.
Yeah,
pain.
At least we get to watch Connor Bedard. Is all I'm gonna say. I think it's gonna be a brutal week. We talked good about our goaltending with Mrazek and Soderblom to start the year, but I think they're in for a real challenge the next 3 games.
Austin Matthews, he wants to score goals.
Yeah, everything we said about how good our young defenders look, that could be taken right back by this time next Sunday, because I think Austin Matthews, he has a chance to score a hat trick in 3 straight games, because holy cow, it's going to be rough.
Who took him from me and your family?
But yeah, that's our next 3 games. I think 0-3. Sorry to wrap it up.
You know what? And I will be just a skosh more optimistic than Nick. I think we get laughed out of Toronto and Colorado, and I think we return home to the United Center. First game at the United Center this year. Connor Bedard, everyone's going to be over the moon. The atmosphere, the vibes are going to be off the charts. I think that is enough to eke out a win against the Vegas Golden Knights. Because again, that's hockey, right? Any team can win any night. We've seen weirder upsets. And I think that the momentum, the energy of that could push it over. And I got to hope for something, right?
You got to hold on to that feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Don't stop believing, the 05 Hawks told me, or the 05 White Sox told me.
Yeah. And just the third period Red Wings.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the Hawks schedule,
It's bad.
Toronto and Colorado are going to be really rough.
That sucks.
Vegas could be
but not the
winnable,
defending
I feel like, if you get the right guys to shut down, like Eichel and Stone. You can at least hold,
that's
I feel
true.
like, with their bottom six. But I think Vegas is the only team out of those three that I would look at and be like honestly speaking, they could beat this game or could win this game if everything goes okay.
I mean, I don't think you guys win any of them, but I'm going to be opposite here a bit. I think if you do steal one, I'm going to pick Colorado.
Really?
Just because I hate Colorado.
All right, fair enough. That's as good a reason as
That's
any.
fair. I guess.
frankly.
Why? Because I hate them.
I don't respect them as a team. What is this, Dallas for me? Yeah, no, that's it.
I mean, Nick, you said you had a question for everybody before the show was over.
Yeah, so David kind of hinted at it. Yeah, I am tying the knot this weekend, Saturday. So hopefully the Hawks don't disappoint me on wedding day. Last single guy marital wise of the podcast. So as the young buck, I guess I'm over here. I feel old, but I guess I'm the young buck.
Compared to the rest of us, yeah.
Let's get serious for a minute. What is some advice you guys want to give me for the next step in my life?
It's marriage is a partnership. It's not 50-50. It's 80-20, 60-40. It depends on who needs the support, who needs it more. Maybe you're going through a rough patch. Maybe she's going through a rough patch. That other person needs to step up and, help out. And you've heard this. This is where it gets a little less serious, but you've heard this. But it is true. Happy wife, happy life. You keep your wife happy, and you'll be happy.
Yeah, I heard.
In all seriousness, enjoy it. The wedding's going to be great. You're going to have memories of it. From what I've seen on Facebook, you guys seem to be just truly in love with each other, and that's amazing. And like I said, it's a partnership, and sometimes it is 50-50, but sometimes someone else has to kind of pick up the slack more. Like there was times when Kristen was pregnant and just could not do anything, and I had to just do everything I could to make sure she was comfortable and take care of us in our house, and that's what you have to do.
Thank you,
Jordan.
My advice: pick the hills that you want to die on very wisely.
Jesus, guys.
But no, what I mean is this: there are things that are going to go right. And that's great. There are also things that are going to go wrong or that you don't like. That's also okay. But remember, the small stuff is ultimately the small stuff. You can always have communication with your spouse about if something bothers you. And a lot of the times, as long as you don't come in just screaming away, that person's also capable of having communication back with you. You're going to find little things about them that you didn't realize when you were dating. You're going to see little habits at home, for example, where you didn't realize that person did that until you started noticing it now, and now it's going to drive you insane. Communicate those things with your partner before they become big things. It's amazing.
Communication is key.
Yes, you can't expect somebody to make a decision that's different unless you tell them you want them to make a different decision.
I mean, that's your partner's not a mind reader and neither are you. I mean, my biggest advice would be practice mindfulness, engage in listening and communication with a place of empathy. That's the big one, because there's going to be times where they're coming at you from a place of that you are not from that place. So it's hard to connect with it. And so being mindful of that and engaging with okay, from an empathetic mindset, I'm going to try and work with that. I find that that's, again, communication is everything. And I think just as my own little thing to, don't forget to keep celebrating with each other, cook together, share some wine, look at the moon. Every day above ground is a day worth celebrating. Don't wait to pop that nice bottle of champagne. Don't wait to bust out the good china. Every day you and your partner are waking up and saying, we get to do this. This is such an exciting privilege. Like, keep that fun, keep that whimsy. Like, that's going to get you through the harder times. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like, Katie and I joke about this all the time. People say marriage is hard work. And like, that's kind of wild to me, that marriage is work because you don't slack off. Like, again, being mindful takes work. Communicating what you're thinking and feeling takes work. Staying in the moment takes work. But like, it should feel rewarding, like you're putting the effort in, not feeling like a chore. So I don't know, that's what I'd say.
And side note with it, I know your future wife is a middle school teacher like I am.
Yes.
And I'm thankful that I have Kristen, who works in school. She doesn't teach. She works in the offices. But she understands. And like a lot of spouses that aren't in education, like I'm not saying you don't understand, but like we go through things. We get stressed about things. There's just so much going on. And
Absolutely.
you can't fix it, but you can listen and say, that sucks.
Yep.
Talk to me more about it. Like, how does that make you feel? Like, and that's same with like a lot of relationship things. Like, it's just like, we're not here to fix all their problems. They just want someone to listen to. And like, we want someone to listen to at times. And like, when I'm stressed and venting about, last year and the year before that with school, where I was just feeling completely burned out. And I'm like, do I really want to be a teacher? Like, this sucks right now. And she was like, that sucks. Like, tell me what you love about teaching and stuff like that. So like, you can't fix every problem like that, especially with a spouse who's an educator, but you can listen and just kind of let them vent.
I think if one other thing that I would say is once a week, do a little thing. And what I mean is, like, let's say the dishes are piling up, right? Before she says anything, just throw all the dishes in the dishwasher and do them, and then put them away. It's amazing how just tiny little things, like, I'll even notice it at home. Like, I'll get home, like, at work, I'll be thinking, man, I got to load the dishwasher when I get home. And then I get home, and then it's done. That's something, like, very tiny, takes 5 minutes, but stuff like that gets noticed when you do it.
If you see it and do it, 100%.
I mean, that's the quote of our podcast, little victories. Just find those little victories.
Every single day in hockey and in marriage, little victories. And it's worth it. But
Absolutely.
dude, so excited for you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Can't
I'm
wait,
excited, guys. I'm excited. I'm excited to join the club.
What's the venue and stuff like? Where are you guys doing it?
We are doing it at a country club, a little bit west of where I'm at.
Okay.
But so it's I'm excited. I can't wait to continue this next chapter, and the advice you guys are giving me, it's a lot better than some of my friends on my pool team. Because a lot of them like to come up to me and say, tell me you're sorry. I'm like, go, for what? They go, you're not ready yet. And, just joking around. It's like,
that's all good.
You gotta say
the wording of, no, it's fine. It's not fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You gotta.
No,
Go ahead. Go out with your friends. It's fine. I'm gonna stay home.
Yeah. You know what? On the second thought.
all I'll say, my friend, is it's not the end of anything. It's the beginning. Trust me.
No.
Everything's that much sweeter.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And
you're getting married
kinda...
Saturday. I'm seeing the Taylor Swift movie Sunday on my anniversary. Life is good.
I think I'm seeing a Wolves game this weekend. So listen, we've all got big things going.
Yeah, life's good, guys. I won't be here next week, as we talked before, but
unacceptable.
Kind of miss the boys for a week. But,
you got a phone?
Yeah, right? Maybe I'll come in on the airplane.
Send the wife on. Send the wife on.
Yeah,
Let her do
exactly.
the podcast with us.
Yeah. But no, guys, thank you guys. I truly appreciate having that conversation and that topic. And, let's hope I could be a better husband than I am a shitty podcaster. So.
Let's hope the Blackhawks give you a nice wedding present.
There's nowhere to go but up for you, bud. So.
Not in the podcast world. We're going to get this video blocked again.
Yeah, okay. No, that's it. It's been nice, guys. Well, Jordan, take us home, country roads.
All right. So that's a good one to end the podcast on, a fun topic that actually has some serious bearing as well. But anyway, that's our show for tonight. As always, we appreciate you guys checking us out, giving us a listen or a watch. You can find us all over the internet. We are on all the major social media platforms. feel free to give us whatever the social media currency is of choice on the platform you found us. We really appreciate it. It helps the podcast grow. And also check out the Hockey Podcast Network in general. Jeez, Pete, I can't say anything apparently. Yeah, the Hockey Podcast Network, even if you don't follow the Wings or Hawks as your main team, they've got a podcast for any other team that you follow in the NHL. They've got other options there you can also check out. So, like, let's say you like the New Jersey Devils, right? We were actually kind of talking to them on Twitter this week, but, you know, they have a New Jersey Devils podcast that you can follow, or the Tampa Bay Lightning, or the Vegas Golden Knights, or whoever. They have podcasts for the rest of the NHL, so check our partners and affiliates out on there as well. But for your host, Jordan Linscott, and for my co-hosts, David Barnhouse, Nick LePage, and Tim Stompanato, this has been another edition of the Stick Blade Podcast. We'll catch you guys back all here next week. In the meantime, stay safe, take care of each other, take care of yourselves. We'll catch you back here next time. Take it easy.